Hello, thank you so much for joining us today and for hitting the play button, choosing to practice and do yourself a tremendous service. We'll begin our restorative class today on our backs. So go ahead and lie down. Take your legs long, your arms long. Again, close your eyes if that feels good. And we'll take some time to unload and allow everything to drop. And notice the floor below you and receive the support that it has to offer. And for today, I'd like for you to take a glance at how it feels where your tailbone meets the floor, how the hips are being supported. And extend your attention from your tail up the spine, all the way to the back of the skull, right where the skull meets the spine. And even allowing the back of the head to drop. Let's create this line of attention from our pelvis up to the skull. And incorporating everything in between. And so as we start to notice our breathing throughout our practice, we work with coaching the breath. And coaching the breath to stretch into the sides of the lungs. And often I like to think of this as like the vents of luggage or a suitcase. Sometimes when you unzip the vents, you're able to get more in the sides. Breathe into the sides of your lungs and take up as much space there as you can. And continue that, then start to stretch your inhale into the bottom of your lungs. Almost like you're trying to grow the lungs down toward the hips. And continue to explore and coach your breath up into the very tops of your lungs as well. And notice yourself breathing dimensionally, breathing in all of the directions. And allowing the breath to be a journey. And let's continue with that meditation, and we'll begin our practice today. Go ahead and take a big full body stretch. Arms long, legs long. You can even roll out your wrists, your ankles. Bring your legs in, or feet in rather. So you've got your feet outer hip width distance apart. Arms can be to cactus or goalpost, I guess. Feel the weight of your feet dropping into the floor. Go ahead and arch your spine, turning your tail up towards your shoulders. And with an arch, if I was there, I could slide my hands underneath your low back and clear it. We'll keep that arch. Your chin goes naturally toward the chest. You can even drop the balls of your feet here, so the heels might lift slightly. This is our inhale movement, so breathe in to fill up your low belly. Breathe out, relax your spine completely, coming into neutral. Now turn your tail up towards your knees. Tail turns up towards the knees, and your hips might lift an inch or two. You don't need to get too carried away, but hips lift slightly. Now tilt your chin up and back. So we're opening through the front of the throat, rocking back on the skull. And keep all of this. Press your elbows down into the ground. Wow. Pressing the elbows down really fires up the back body. So you'll feel quite a bit of heat with that. You may even notice that one arm fires more than the other. You don't need to change that, but do just notice. And this is our exhale movement. Pull out all the air. Very good. Inhale, arch your spine, chin toward the chest, tail up toward the shoulders. Exhale, round your spine, tilt your chin up, elbows down. Keep moving with the breath. Each inhale, we arch. Maybe the balls of the feet drop. Exhale as we round, with the chin up, maybe the heels drop. Cruise through these at your own pace. And we call this our cranial sacral rock. Using this rhythmic movement to not only warm up the body, but also to coordinate our breath and our movements together. Yoking the internal and the external. Last few breaths with this. Try not to forget that pressing down of the elbows as you round the spine. Feeling the back body ignite. Go ahead and finish up one more full set. When you're through, come back to neutral. Let's take the legs long, the arms long. Pausing for a moment. All right, left arm up overhead. Roll over onto your left side. So you're stacking your hips, stacking your shoulders. You can let the head rest. And it can help to bend the bottom knees. So if you're struggling with the balance, you might bend the knees. Go ahead and lift your top leg and stretch your top leg out and away. Stretch the top leg out and away, almost like your leg's trying to leave without you. Now let's reach the top arm overhead. Grab hold of your top wrist with your bottom hand and start to reach your arm and leg in opposite direction. And I know this is tricky with the balance, so by pressing into your bottom leg, we can help out with the stability. And get nice and long here. You might even take your lifted foot back behind you a few inches, finding an extension through the front hip. Last few deep breaths here, sending them into your back body. Inhale. Exhale, relax, drop the effort. All right, well done. So this time, let's try this. Bend your top knee and grab hold of your foot. Yeah, outer edge of your foot with your hand. Awesome. Now, squeeze the back of your knee shut. Hug your heel towards your bottom and lengthen your top knee away from your body. Lengthen the top knee out, so it's almost like you're stretching your top knee toward the front of the mat. And you might even take your top knee back behind you a few inches. Notice if you're tensing your neck at all. Go ahead and let that drop. Awesome job. Now, last few breaths, you can play with kicking your foot into your hand and away from the body, finding like a half bow. Letting the shoulder go with it. Once more, checking in, make sure that you're not tensing the neck or the head at all. Inhale. Exhale, carefully release. Nice job. Go ahead and return to your back, arms long, like legs long. Be still and observe the sensations within you. Other side, right arm comes up overhead. You can roll over onto your right side. I'm gonna turn the other direction so you can see me better. Here, stacking arms, stacking legs. And if right off the bat, if you're struggling with the balance, You can put a slight bend in your knees to help out with the balance. Now let's lift up the top leg and stretch it out and away from the body. Even the toes are reaching out. Top arm can come up overhead, grab hold of your wrist with your bottom hand and reach the arm and leg in opposite directions. You can even push down through the bottom leg for a little more stability. Consider moving your top heel behind you a few inches, finding a gentle extension through the hip. And send your last few breaths here down into the low back. Inhale. Exhale, release, relax. Now we can bend the top knee and grab hold of the outer edge of the foot. As you squeeze the back of your knee shut, guide your heel towards your bottom, then start to slide your top knee away from you. So you're lengthening the top thigh bone out a lot. Allow the head to drop, being supported by the arm. You might even take your top knee a few inches back, reaffirming the hip extension. Very good. Now, last few breaths, consider kicking your foot into your hand away from the body. And it's normal to feel wobbles here. You might even topple over a little bit. That's fine. If so, push down through your bottom leg a bit more for some help. Last few. Inhale. Exhale. Carefully, slowly release. Return to your back. Legs long, arms long. Taking a moment to sense the body. Okay, bend your knees in, and we'll cross the heels. You can rock up and down a few times. Let it iron out the spine. And come all the way into tabletop, all fours. And spread out your fingers nice and wide here. Bring your feet together with your toes tucked under and sit your hips back and walk your hands forward about a handprint. So it's a really active child's pose. And as you dig your toes into the ground from the big toe all the way to the pinky toe, really press them down. Now stretch the crown of your head forward toward your hands. Hands are pressing down and forward evenly, even through the center of the hands. Inhale. Use your hands to pull yourself up into, we'll say, kind of a tabletop. So return your knees back to hip distance. You can untuck the toes. Instead of having your hands directly underneath your shoulders, walk them forward a handprint or two. So I'm more on a diagonal here. Index fingers are straight ahead, of course. On your inhale, arch your spine, take your chin up, and feel your hands drag back towards your knees. On your exhale, round your spine as you curl your tail under, your chin to chest. Feel your hands pull apart. Inhale to cow, arching the spine. Exhale to cat, rounding the spine. And take a few of these cat-cows on your own. And you take your time, come on back to a neutral spine here. tuck your toes under and lift. Actually, don't do that. Tuck your toes under and hover your knees an inch up off the ground. And feel that activate the core. Then shift your hips back into a downward facing dog. Just like we did in that child's pose, feel your hands push down and forward as you stretch the crown of your head away from the body. And we'll come in and out of this a few times, and we'll take our time with the breath. As you drop your knees, inhale, arch your spine into cow. Exhale, round to cat. Inhale, hover your knees, look forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 more like that. Inhale, drop your knees, arch your spine. Exhale, round the spine. Look forward, inhale, hover the knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. 1 more like that. Inhale, drop the knees. Go ahead and arch. Exhale, round. Inhale, hover knees, look forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pausing here in your down dog. Take a moment to accommodate to what it's like to be upside down. And then we'll bend the knees and look forward. Go ahead and step your feet towards the front of your mat. Here at the front, let's press off into a half lift, stretching the sternum away from the navel. And exhale to fold. Squeeze your belly towards your legs. I really like to do this with the feet separated. Outer hip width distance apart if you'd like. And while we're here, grab hold of opposite elbows. And feel the front of your body get longer as you breathe in. And the back of the body softer while you breathe out. Very good. Now shift all the weight into your right foot. Push your right foot way down into the ground. Inhale. Exhale back to center. Shift all the weight into your left foot. Push it way down into the ground. Inhale. Exhale, come on back to center. Nice work. Release your arms. Bend your knees to plant your hands, and let's step the left foot back. Stepping your left foot back, just coming into a nice casual lunge here. I'm going to take the hands inside the foot and drop the back knee down. And turning your front toes out about 30 degrees. Walk your left hand forward, turning your fingers out. So by turning out, I mean, how can I show this? Out. So I got the hands turned out a bit. You might need to come up on the fingertips or grab a prop while you're here. But as you feel your hips go down and forward, I'm pulling my back knee and my front heel towards each other. So instead of just dropping the hips down, because the connotation for dropping is breaking, right? Drop something, it breaks. So instead, pulling the back knee, front heel towards each other. Awesome, yeah, you got it. Then we'll press our hand above the knee, tone and turn your abdomen up toward the ceiling. Awesome. Even reach your top arm up overhead. Reach through the top finger so much, it's almost like you could lift right up off the floor. Stay here or wrap your top arm around your back, finding a little half bind action. Stay here or bend your back knee, grab hold of your foot in your hand. Awesome. So as you have hold of that back foot, Plug your front heel, back knee towards each other. Yeah, and that'll add quite a bit of sauce to the action here. Right, and we know, the difference between the juice and the sauce? Juice expires, sauce lasts forever. So we want to add the sauce. Lasting effects. Last few breaths here. Find the back bend element of this. Squeeze the back of the body. Yes, wonderful. Allowing the front to open. Awesome job. We'll inhale. Slowly rewind your actions. Come on back to your lunge. So hands are framing the foot. From your lunge, straighten up your front leg. You can even walk your foot forward further. And as your hands press down and forward, push your front heel down and pull back. Hands down forward, front heel pushes down and pulls back. And this might be enough for you, or play with rounding your spine. Find that same cat back we found earlier, staying very engaged and alive through the arms. And I love this because I feel like it's so different than what we're normally taught in this pose. I feel like it's really easy to just kind of like hang out and not be doing any work. However, by adding the work into hands and legs, we have more access to the hamstring, more bang for the buck. Last few breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. Nicely done. Let's return the bend into the front knee. Go ahead and step your back foot forward. We'll press off to a half lift. Grow your sternum out from your navel. Fold your belly towards your legs. Inhale to half lift. You can plant your hands. This time we'll step the right leg back. And here in your lunge, you can step your hands inside the foot, drop your back knee down, maybe even untuck the toes. Now turn your front toes out like 30 degrees. I'll come forward, get a better idea. Turn the front toes out 30 degrees. I'm gonna walk my right hand forward and out, turning the fingers out as well. Yeah, awesome. Then you can take your front hand onto your leg, go ahead and push it away, turning the abdomen up toward the ceiling. Right, and instead of letting my hips just drop, I'm pulling my front heel and back knee towards each other, squeezing it in. Now we can stretch the top arm straight up, almost like you're trying to lift up out of your stance. Top arm can wrap around the back, a little half bind action. Use this opportunity to turn your bottom bicep forward. Yeah, that allows the chest to open a bit more. Now we have the option here of bending the back knee, grabbing hold of the foot, recreating that quad stretch we found on our side. So you can explore taking your heel towards your bottom, or you can explore kicking your foot out and away. Right, so doing what calls to you, but all the while bringing front heel, back knee in towards each other. Last few breaths here, find the back bend element, allow the chest to open up toward the ceiling. Inhale. Nicely done. Slowly, carefully releasing. Hands can frame the foot once more for us to straighten the leg. Straightening your front leg, you might need to wiggle your foot forward. As you press your hands down and forward, like you're pushing your hands away from the body, push your front heel down and pull it back. Hands down forward, front heel down and back. And that's a lot, that's spicy stuff. So you can stay, or you might find the cat back here, keeping the action with the legs and just rounding through the upper back. And try to avoid any crunchiness in the neck. Instead, let your head hang, let the neck be long. Last few here, directing the breath into the back of the leg. Inhale. Exhale and release. All right, go ahead and bend your front knee. Step back into downward facing dog. Do a little check-in. Where are you feeling the effects of your actions? All right, now we get to drop the knees down and come into a kneeling position. I knew that would happen. The good old head cut off pose. So coming into your kneeling position, find mountain pose kneeling. So you've got your shoulders, awesome, yeah. Got your shoulders stacked over the hips, and knees are hip distance apart. Feel your ribs close down towards your hips. Standing tall with intention. All right, stick out your thumbs. So make a fist with your thumbs out. And start to reach your arms up and overhead. And you might come to a point where you feel like you hit a wall. So that's okay. It doesn't have to be all the way up, but find your own capacity here. Now rotate your thumbs in and forward. Great. Now squeezing your back body, start to open your arms out. Keep squeezing the back. Turn your thumbs down even. Yeah. Keep rotating your hands as you lower all the way down. So once you're all the way down, your thumbs are behind you. Awesome. I'm going to come to the side so you can see the reverse of this. So in order to reverse, I'm going to first lift up. And if you're like me, you're not going to get very far. Then rotate the thumbs. Keep lifting up as you rotate the thumbs in. Keep lifting up as your thumbs go up. Keep lifting all the way up as your thumbs point behind you, and release back forward and down. So controlled articular rotations. Go ahead and inhale them up. Turn your thumbs in as you start to keep rotating. Exhale, lower down. Thumbs are back behind you. Inhale, we'll lift back and up. Exhale, rotating up overhead. Inhale, release back down. Try one more on your own. And whether you're breathing in or out on the up or down, doesn't really matter. Just as long as we're breathing mindfully and coordinating with the breath. Take your time. We'll meet back in this starting position. Once you're back in this position, let's go ahead and return to downward facing dog. Give the knees a little break here. You can even turn your head to the right, to the left. Giving yourself a little breather here. Okay, returning back to your knees, come on back to that kneeling Tadasana position. And if you have more sensitive knees, you can always roll up your mat, and so you got a little extra cushion if you need it, just pro tip. Here we will take our arms out in front of us, parallel your hands to each other, so the palms face each other. Now, actually scratch that. Take your hands to your hips. Take your hands to your hips and arch your back. Real lazy legs, just arch in the back. You'll notice how your ribs just kind of tumble out. And we do want a back bend, right? But you'll notice this kind of back bend happens from the low back, and that can get a little sketchy, right? So instead of this, I want you to close your ribs down to your hips. Feel them close down, then keep that. So instead of this, It's this. Instead of your tail turned back, your tail is down, right? So keep that here. So you have this little core set of strength. And with your arms right in front, Frankenstein style, lean your way back. So we're keeping this line and we're leaning back just a little. A little goes a really long way with this. Holding just enough to feel the quads really wake up, then pull yourself back up. Let's go ahead and take 2 more like that. Make sure the ribs are closed and go ahead and find the lean back. Glutes are engaged, tops of the feet pressing down, bring it back up. 1 more like that. Lean it back. And bring it up. All right, release your arms down. We're all nice and warmed up for like a baby camel pose. I guess you could call it like an alpaca pose, right? So here, let's bring your arms alongside of you. Turn your palms open and reach your hands back behind you, squeezing the backs of the shoulders tight. Reach your hands back, squeezing the shoulders back. Now, just like we did before, close the ribs, lean yourself way back, and come back. Relax your arms. I messed up. You gotta tuck your toes under. We're gonna pretend we did that the whole time. Take 2. Hands back, turn them back, squeeze the shoulders, right? So toes are tucked, so you got a little more lift here. And you're gonna squeeze your shoulders, lean back, take the tips of the fingers inside of the heels. Now lift up through your chest. So low back stays rather neutral. We're lifting, squeezing through the chest. Keep your chin squeezed towards your chest, right? And we'll hold. Can you use your breath to explore the sides of your lungs? The bottom of your lungs. Even the back of your lungs. Very good. Last breath. Inhale. Stay for the exhale. Now, one hand at a time, return your hands onto your hip bones. Squeeze your ribs down towards your hips to lift up. We can untuck. Go ahead and take a child's pose with the arms long. And coming to a complete rest here. Wonderful job. Come on up to a seat. You can take your hips to one side, bring your legs around. Nicely done. So as we prepare for our fold here, let's start out with the knees bent. So you can bend your knees enough that you can grab hold of the outer edges of your feet. If that's just not in the equation, then you can always hold on to the shins. But feel a connection between your low belly and the thighs. And you can play with beginning to stretch the heels out. And it's okay if your legs don't go down all the way, but do maintain that connection of your abdomen to your thighs. While we're here, let's inhale to make the front of the body longer. Exhaling the back of the body softer. You can even feel your thigh bones stretching back behind you as your pelvis moves forward. And I like to imagine that somebody's gently rested a weight on the space above the knees. And using that to drop the legs down. Last few breaths here. Inhale. Roll yourself on up to a seat. Take your legs wide into a V. And I'm going to go rather wide here. It's not super important to be wide. If you find that your back is really rounded, it can be helpful to sit on a seat. It can also be helpful, or sit on a cushion rather. It can also be helpful to bend your knees, okay? So finding whichever version of that speaks to you. Then with your hands forward, turn your tail behind you. So it's kind of like you're trying to like booty pop to the back. So turning the tail back behind you, and take a walk with your hands. Pressing the backs of the legs down. You might even get the feet involved. I really like to flare the toes, especially those outer two kind of wily, rascally toes. And you might even feel your hands pull back towards you as your heels push out. And I find when I pull my hands back and push the heels out, I get a little more forward rotation and feel a little bit more fire in the inner thighs. Last few breaths here. Inhale. Can walk the hands back in if they're out. Bend your knees, taking the bottoms of your feet together. Again, scoot your heels in here. And so we've played a lot today with kind of the cat-cow archetype, right? So we've done a lot of rounding of the spine, a lot of opening of the spine. So we'll bring that into the different variations of Baddha Konasana. Coming to the side here, for the first version, holding onto your feet, let your spine be straight. Spine straight, your knees heavy dropping down. Even feel the pit of your abdomen dropping down and the pubic bone lifting. So we drop the belly, lift the pubic bone. Now feel the shoulders squeeze together behind the back. Keep that, and option to play with bending the elbows, right? So if that's too intense, you can always skip it. But playing with the fold here, just like in our cow pose, squeezing the back. Squeezing the back, letting the chest feel open. Contracting behind the heart to open the front. Allow the neck to be long, like you're trying to grow your ears away from your shoulders. Last few breaths here. Now we'll find its opposite, find the cat back, round your spine, curling your tail under your chin towards your chest. And ask yourself, can I round the spine without crunching up the neck too much? Rounding the spine, but still allowing the neck to be long. And the skill is to find the right amount of effort. Not too much, not too little, not forcing, not giving up. And then meeting wherever you happen to be today, meeting that with compassion. Inhale. Exhale, come on up to a seat. Use your hands to close your knees and roll yourself on down to your back. Once you are on your back, take your arms alongside of you and straighten your legs up overhead. Squeeze your two legs together as if they were one big leg. And with your palms facing the ground, push your hands into the floor, push your arms into the floor. So although we're simply doing legs up the wall pose, we're doing it with a little more work. Using this gentle inversion to deliver all the energies of our practice down to our heart, down to our brain. All right. Now, as we prepare for plow pose, I'm gonna give myself a little more room here. As we prepare for plow pose, stay aware through the backs of your arms. And you can even bend your knees as you start to bring your hips up over your shoulders. taking the tops of your toes toward the ground. Tops of your toes toward the ground. So you might walk your shoulders a little closer together. Think of taking the curve out of your back by sliding your tailbone up to the ceiling. Stretch the backs of your knees up to the ceiling as well. Now, plow pose involves the shoulder. So if you're on the neck, back up a little bit and redirect that weight onto the shoulders. So the neck is secondary, not primary. You might even clasp your hands together, press the clasp toward the floor as well. Option to bend your knees one at a time and squeezing the knees toward the temples or the ears, depending on how long or short your legs are. In your own time, you can start to straighten the legs and take one hand at a time onto your low back, so your hands are supporting the sacrum. Bend your right knee in and then stretch your right leg straight up. Can release, put your right leg back where you found it. Balance on the toes. Bend your left knee, slide your knee up toward the ceiling, then extend the leg if possible. And I notice this is more opportunity to use the backs of the arms rather than the neck. Release. You can either do that one more time or play with taking both legs up towards our shoulder stand. And we're working towards stacking the knees over hips, heels over knees, if that is sound with the body. If your body's not into that, we don't need to do that. We explore where the body would like to go today. Never forcing, never shoving, but rather listening to what the body needs, not what the ego wants. Last few breaths wherever you're at. Slowly, carefully, return your toes to the ground if they're not already. Release your hands to the floor and start to roll yourself back out. Take the bottoms of the feet to the ground and your arms out to a T. Neutralize the spine and observe the energetic shift in the body. You might also notice a rushing of fluids into the shoulders, into the back. Nicely done. Let's cross the right heel over the left knee, press the knee out, and roll over onto the left side. Reaffirm the heel into the knee as you drop your top knee down to the bottom heel. Let the shoulders be rested. And sending your breath down into the low belly. Inhale. Come on back to center. Switch it out, left heel over the right knee. Guiding your knee away from the body and then lowering on towards the right side. Reaffirm the heel above the knee as you move your top knee down toward the bottom heel. Filling up the low belly with air. Inhale. Back to center. Unwind your legs. And with your feet as wide as your mat, feet as wide as the mat, drop your knees to the right and look over your left shoulder. You might cross your right heel over your left knee if you need a little bit of extra weight there. Let your attention wander the body, looking for any little pockets of tension. And revealing any patterns or habits of tension holding. I know for me, behind the eyes and within the jaw are my two main spots. So you might inquire, what are your two or three or more main spots? Or maybe there's none, you never know. And either way, we're curious about the patterning that we hold. Inhale. Back to center, drop your knees over toward the left, looking over your right shoulder. And consider crossing the heel over, left heel that is, over the right knee. And you might take note of in what way does the sensation change with time, if any. And how does time evolve the pose? Inhale. Come on back to center. Hold the insides of your knees. And as you flatten your low back to the mat, move your knees out to the side. Keeping the low back flat, straighten your right arm, right leg, and hug your left knee up towards your armpit. And come on back to center. Switch it out. Straighten your left arm, left leg. Hug your right knee up towards the armpit. Inhale. Exhale, come on back. You can continue with this action, taking a few on each side. Of course, if you prefer a traditional happy baby, holding onto your feet, you're always welcome to do what the body's calling you to do. You can take your time. As you're ready, you can release your legs long, your arms long. And coming into Shavasana. And allowing yourself to arrive here wholeheartedly. I invite you to connect with abundance. And we can do this by reflecting on the abundance within nature. It could be as simple as the sunshine pouring in through the window. It could be the lush forest, the stream, or even the wind and its capacity for power. But all around us, and even within us, abundance. And by turning this concept into a sensation in our body, moving the sensation through each and every cell within us, we are bolstering our self-worth. The idea that we are enough. And so we have a few moments here to reflect on the natural capacities for abundance and how that abundance can be embodied within ourselves. I'll wake you in just a few moments when we're through. You're welcome to stay as long as you would like. If you're ready to get on with your day or evening, you can start to deepen the breathing. Reach the right arm up overhead. With your knees to your chest, roll onto the right side. And as you're ready, make your way up to a seat. Eyes closed, palms connected together. We bow the chin towards the chest. And honoring abundance, we remind ourselves, I am enough. You are enough. We are enough. Abundance is within us and around us. May we reflect upon it between thoughts and between activities, letting it be the space to which we return. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Namaste.